Um, edit, bring this up, and go home. There we go. We are live on YouTube, and share, and copy that. Edit page. Turn that down. All right, and see, yeah, I am just still way washed out. Delete. Okay, something is. Control V. All right, embed. And there, and remove that block. No, that's there, and remove that block. There we go. Now we can paste. There we go. And update. All right, got the live post on the page. We are all good and set. Getting a little bit of a late start. Trying to get myself back into the habit of actually streaming. Let's see here, and yeah, all right. Well, we're working on Relaxed Mail too on the Twitch channel. So so now, all right. So guys, we are going to be talking about your past, and is your past actually holding you back? And we're going to be jumping into here. Let's see here. We've got no live chats as of yet. So now let me share a few things out first. Facebook.com. And let's go to my page. Notifications. Nope, or no, just go to the page, go there. And we should be showing that I am live here also. Yes. And share. Options. Oh, hello. No, need to go to me, share, and share is now as public. All right, share to the timeline. All right, so here we go. Yeah, running just a little bit late, like I was saying. Apologize for that. Getting into a new habit and almost forgot. So we're going to be talking today about the past, keeping with the theme this week of, is your past holding you back? And there are a lot of instances of when the past actually does hold you back. A lot of people like to try to say, no, the past is actually a good thing. You learn from it. And yeah, you're right. You're right. You learn from your past, but you also learn from what's happening at the moment. You also become you also end up making a instance of where you take the past and you really start to identify. Wow, that is getting really hot. Sorry, turn the fire down just a minute. There's also the instance of where a lot of people start to really identify with their past, where they turn the lessons that could have been learned as something that happened in the past, from taking it from a learning experience and actually turn it into a chain. Instead of having that experience lift you up and make you better, stronger, and better, and greater in your life and in your day-to-day life and how you're going to approach things in the future, a lot of times we actually take those experiences um, and we hide them up. Yeah, a lot of times that we've done stuff in the past that we're not proud of. We've done stuff in the past where um, it's something that we're rather ashamed of, and those are more anchors and weights that hold us back and hold us down and keep us from becoming a better person because operate into a world of fear. We are afraid that people are going to think of us badly, and maybe we did do something badly. And yeah, there are going to be people who look at us in a very negative light. Or you have had something horrible happen to you, and you are ashamed that that happened to you. Women a lot of times don't talk about the times they were raped, and I can understand why that would be something very shameful to say that your power was taken from you, your power of choice and your power of your own decisions being violently taken from you. I know I hear men get raped at the same time, and I mean that's a very violent, very horrible, traumatic way of actually of an example, but that is a common example that people actually face, and that um, they've had something that is that shameful that has actually happened to them, and they shy away from it. Um, the good point about it though is that the past doesn't define you. Yeah, the past happened, but it was in the past. The past is not going to come back, and it's not going to attack you. It's not going um, to hurt you in the way that it did when you were younger, when that event actually happened. You may have had an instance where you may have had some form of sexual abuse, and you're still having to see that person who did those atrocities to you, and to actually have those atrocities happen and still have to see the person who did that so many years later, either because the family is just has let it go, and that person has shown that they are not the same person, which they can do. They can change and become a better person, or that person may still be the scumbag that he was or she was way back then. And because of that, you see instances of, well, you can, if that happens, you have the knowledge now to know how to actually avoid those horrible things. But to a lot of people will say that I am a victim of child abuse. I am a victim of physical abuse. I'm a victim of spousal abuse. I'm a victim of all these different types of abuses. And those victims, they hold on to that. That is their identity. They are a victim, and that holding on to um, that particular line of thoughts not serving you in any way, and to actually be able to have a means to get beyond that past, and to take the knowledge that, yeah, I faced that horrible event. I got past that horrible event. I am alive now. I am stronger because of it. Actually makes you a better person, because you actually did go through that cleansing fire and come out of it on the other side. So to so why do we actually live in the past as much as we actually do? And the reason why is most of the time it is out of fear. It's not shame. It's we have shame because of fear. We have shame, or we even get angry and we strike out, and we have emotional outbursts, and we have anxiety, all because of the recurring issue of the fear of, what if somebody finds out about me? What if somebody discovers that I was abused when I was younger? What if I was discovered to not be something else? What if what if I'm discovered? And the imposter syndrome is a good example of the fear. We're living in that past when we have that an instance of the imposter syndrome, because the imposter syndrome goes, dude, you've never been in here before. So because you're looking at what you've not ever been, you've never done that before. That's actually language that points to the fact that you are actually in you're actually presiding in the past. And with being in the past, you're not living in the present. You're not going forward, and so you're holding yourself back. A lot of times we will also stay in the past because it is something we are used to. A lot of times, a good example of that are people who are in poverty. You try to get them to be in a different, try to bring somebody who's poverty stricken into better uh, economic status. If they haven't worked their way up to that economic status, they're actually going to slide back down into that poverty. Anybody who's ever seen somebody or heard any stories about people who have won the lottery, they may have won $200 million, but within just maybe 5 years, they are back in the same economic shape, if not even worse. And that's because they actually tripped past their comfort zone, their comfort level. That's the upper limit challenge that Gay Hendricks from The Big Leap actually talks about, where we have a thermostat, internal thermostat, that is set to where if we go past that thermostat, we will actually reset ourselves so that we fall back into what our comfort zone is. And that comfort zone holds us into in our bounds. And so we're always used to being a $50,000 a year family. So when it comes to all of a sudden, I come across a new widget that I start to produce, and that widget is wildly successful, and all of a sudden I'm making $100 million a year, that's going to be really hard for me to adjust. I'm going to do things that will sabotage and throw away that money. I may spend it like it's going out of style. And that's because I don't have the internal barometer set so that I can handle that $100 million a year. We got geese flying overhead. You can hear all the honk, 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 honk. So when it comes to staying in our past, a lot of people will stay in their past and preside in their past because they're comfortable. Believe it or not, to step out of being a victim of, say, some form of abuse, that also is also a means of being comfortable. Yeah, it's uncomfortable to talk about it, but you're also used to and comfortable with the fact that you are that identity. And so a lot of people will stay in that comfort zone, which sounds really odd to say, but it's a form of mindset where who else would I be if I'm not an abuse victim, if I'm not a victim of spousal abuse, or maybe a victim of some type of a robbery or something like that, and you're living in that, you're always going to be afraid that that's going to happen again. And you're not going to stretch yourself out of that comfort zone because of the giant what if. That fear comes back into play. Now, how do you know when you're actually living in the past? When are you? Well, there's several ways you can actually tell. One is the words you use. If you're talking about, I wouldn't know how to do that. I've never done that before. Well, you're right. You've not ever done that before. A baby has never walked before they start walking. They don't think about, hey, well, I need to look at what needs to be done to walk. No, they get up and they take a step and they fall on their face and they take a step and they fall on their butt and they stand up and they fall off to the side and they stand up and fall again on their butt again. They realize that, hey, falling on my face doesn't feel good. I better start trying to rock myself back if I feel myself fall. So I land on my butt, that padded backside of mine. You're always, but if you don't ever take the chance to try and you don't at least attempt, you're not ever going to stretch yourself and become better and become a stronger person. You're not going to become more confident in life because you're always afraid of that boogeyman that's not underneath the stairs. Al Bundy is a wonderful example of living in the past because he's always talked about the 4 touchdowns that he made in the city championship against Andrew Johnson High. And it was the greatest time of his life, and he's always living in the past. Yet he is stuck where he's at. He doesn't have the success that he would wish to have because he doesn't want to get out of the fact that he had this great success at one time, and to let that past go and to become a better guy, he has to actually just, yeah, I did that. I'm not going to, he doesn't live in there. Yeah, he may talk about it from time to time, but he's not living in the past as he does in the show. Dealing with your past can be tough. It can be scary. It can be frightening at times, especially if that, like I said, that's your whole identity. If you're the star quarterback, but yet you've not ever gone anywhere else beyond being the great star quarterback for a game, you're going to be slotted into that one particular, you're going to keep yourself slotted in that one particular line of thinking. If you actually take the time to step out of that, a lot of times you will become uncomfortable because you're leaving an old identity behind, and that identity you're married to. But if you are finding that you're afraid to change yourself, that's probably a good example of you living in the past. Now, granted, we're all really get fed up with how Walmart likes to change its aisles around, and all of a sudden, toys are on the food side, and the food side's on the opposite side, and everything's flipped around, backwards, scrambled, and they've got reasons for doing that. One that causes you to walk the aisles more, and so you buy stuff that wasn't on your list, and so you increase your pay, your bill, but you're also but also that change, you can look at it in 2 different ways. You can look at it as like, oh, good grief, I have got to go and I've got to wander through this. I don't know where anything is anymore. And you can complain about that. You can be in a stuck in the past of, I wish they would have kept it like that. But everything's going to change. And the only constant in life is change. And because of that, if you actually take that whole fact that Walmart has changed its aisles around and reshuffled everything, you can actually take that as, hey, it's an adventure. We know what we're getting. We've got our list. We're not going to just wander in there and wander around for 3 days. We're going in there. We're grabbing what we need. Yes, it's going to take longer because we may walk around. We're going to have to walk back and forth on the aisles, and we can make it a game. We can make it fun. You can choose. You actually have a choice to actually have a good time at Walmart if that's what you wanted to do. Now, if you don't, that's up to you. But you can. That is something that you would have to make a choice to do. Another example is you find yourself in the same situations over and over and over again. Say you are a woman who finds herself in a dead-end relationship. The guy is always he comes home, he complains about work the whole time, and complains about you, or vice versa. You too. Cats decide to want to play during the broadcast, or vice versa. Say you're a guy, you come home from work at the end of the day, and your spouse just starts in on you and just is always complaining about how you aren't doing anything, and there's problems here and there's problems there, and you just don't take care of any of it, and just and it's the relationship is basically kind of a loveless marriage. You can either, and you find yourself, take yourself out, and or you, well, that's, I'm kind of going down a path that's not a good example. Good example: guys who always find themselves hooking up with psycho chicks. That's a an example of finding yourself in the same situation. Why do you always seem to find yourself with that gal who goes into overload stalker mode? Well, there's probably reasons into that are tied to your past. 90% of because that's the type of gal you always date. And so there's a good chance you're stuck in the past, and there's a reason why you're always seeking out those types of girls. Maybe it's because in the past you've always found that they're easy to get into bed with. It could also be that they're just they throw more money at you, and there's a whole lot of different weird and sad reasons as to why we would want to hook up with a crazy girl. And there are girls who do the same thing. They're always hooking up with the jerk, with the abuser, with the drunk. And again, there's reasons behind that. So if you start paying attention to why you keep finding yourself in those same situations, say you leave a job to go to another job, and that job is a dead-end job. Well, why are you in that dead-end job yet again? So maybe you were told that in 6 months you were going to get a raise. Well, you were stuck in, maybe your reason why you're not getting the raise, maybe the reason why you're not being moved up to a managerial job is because you're not actually you're used to being comfortable. And in the past, you never had to work your tail off all that hard to get a paycheck. So why should you start now? That's you living in the past. But if you take the time to actually pay attention and make a change and vow that you're going to make that change, you can actually dig yourself out of the past, make yourself such a valuable employee that your boss has no choice but to give you that raise, give you a promotion, so that you're actually able to become the better man and make that get to that next ladder in the next step on the corporate ladder. You can actually do that because you've made a mental thought and done the work to actually change what you're wanting to actually do. If you are someone who refuses to do something new, no, I've not ever done that. You always talking about trying to start a new business, but you never get out of this planning. And that's because you can't figure it out yet. You don't know what you need to do. That's you living in the past. Like I said, nobody knows what they need to do when they're trying something brand new. They've never done it before. Say you go to a Mexican food restaurant and all you order are fajitas. I'm guilty of that. But what actually would happen if you were to sit down and actually say, you know what, I am going to try everything on this menu. Now, I'm not saying all at the same time, but you go over to your favorite Mexican food restaurant and you sit down and you go, all right, we're going to start on the top of the entrees, and we're just going to go through every single one of them, all 17 pages of them. And you'll find that doing something new is really entertaining. You're going to find a lot of really bad food in there. You're going to find stuff that you may find out mole is not your thing. But you may also find out that mole is just absolutely, nectar of the gods. And all of a sudden, instead of, you think fajitas were great, now you've got something else that now is your signature dish that you wanted to try. And that's because you actually decided to try something new. But there's a lot of people who that's all they do. They refuse to try something new. They refuse to try a new dish. They refuse to try a new, like food is an easy one for me to go off of, because there's always, hey, let's go try this new restaurant. And you're like, no, because I'm not really big on Indian food. Well, have you ever had Indian food? Well, not really. But then how do you know? Kids often do that with food. They absolutely hate broccoli until they try broccoli, and then they realize, oh, it's not quite as bad as you thought. Yeah, it's kind of plain, but if you throw some cheese on it, awesome, dude! Wow, it's amazing. But that's because in the past they decided they didn't want to try something new. So how do you get out of living in the past? How do you get out of that past mindset? Well, the first one is to actually pay attention to your words. Start using words in present tense. No, and don't mean, because using words like I haven't ever tried that before, you're talking about the past, but instead, no, that sounds like a good challenge. That's you're talking about the here and now, and you're moving forward. You want to start having your mind, instead of sitting in the past, be either present or even just a little bit forward. How would you actually act and behave if you were successful in whatever goal you wanted to accomplish? Say you wanted to read um, Atlas Shrugged. That's a book I'm going through right now. What would, if, and you've not ever plowed through a 1,000-page book before, what would you expect to happen if you made it through that 1,000-page book? And may not be a great best example. Another one might be if you want to get a new car. There you go. So what would it be like to be driving that new car? We don't worry about what we couldn't do. Look at a newer, more recent thing for you is maybe when you were learning to drive a car. Did you hop in the driver's seat and go, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. I've not, this is all new stuff to me. I don't know what. No, you sat there and you had the vision of what it would be like being free driving your very own car down the highway with a friend in the passenger seat and music blaring. And you were on a nice summer evening and you were just having the time of your life. You were talking and laughing and having cutting up and all that other, and it was just a great time. You thought of that and you pictured that and you knew that's what you wanted, and that's what you want to be able to do with anything, is picture yourself. What would it be like if you did X? If you started a business, what would it be like in 5 years? Where do you want that job to be, or that business to be? Doesn't mean you're going to make it there, but you know what you're going to feel like, and you're going to start acting like you've already done that. You're going to start setting your mind in the process of looking forward, of being forward focused and future focused, and not stuck in the back. So pay attention to what your words are. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Make peace with your past. Yeah, the past may be a horrible instance. It may have been something that just really crushed you. May have been maybe you had a horrible bankruptcy where you were doing good, but your accountant embezzled, all your funds, and has got somehow skipped off to Mexico, and you can't get them, and you are left with just the pieces of a broken business. You can either say, I'm never going to trust accountants again, or you're going to start looking for people who actually will teach you about your finances and help you come to understand what those finances mean. You can either look at, yeah, I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I am going to become able to look at a spreadsheet and know what my incoming and my outgoing accounts are, and I can look and I can see when something isn't right. I'm going to start looking and understanding what is going on, so that this doesn't happen anymore. And you get back on the saddle. So you have to learn to make peace with your past. Yeah, a bully in high school may have made your life absolutely hell. They may have called you all sorts of names, and some names you may have even started to believe you're a loser. Well, yeah, I guess I am kind of a loser. I don't do anything. I've not ever gotten a promotion at work. I am truly a loser. You may believe that, and again, that's you living in the past. Or you could go, you know what? I was kind of a loser back then. I really was, but that's okay, because I am not a loser anymore. I am not that person who was scared and lonely in the past. I am somebody who is very outgoing and loves to talk to people. And so you can actually take the past make peace with it, and accept that it happened, but it doesn't affect me anymore. And you can actually take it and shove it off to the past. So, all right, guys, with that, I am going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. If you stayed here and watched, do we have any comments? No comments today. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and thanks for seeing me. If you are over on Twitch, say hi. If you're watching through YouTube or Instagram or any of those, love to be able to hear what your thoughts and how have you been able to get beyond the past. So with that, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or want to get more information on this, you can actually go to relaxedmail.com. I've got plenty of blog posts. I've also got a podcast there that you can listen to that I put out every Thursday. And with that, I'm going to go and wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.